Hey you guys, this is Josh with Homesteading Family, and today I've got a really exciting video for you. We're going to be showing you how to prune your fruit tree, specifically this apple tree right here, which needs a bit of work on our homestead. And what's really cool is I've got my good friend Casimir Holeski, who is a great arborist. He knows his stuff about fruit and nut trees, and this is just gonna be a lot of fun. He's gonna teach me some things that I don't know, and really just gonna break this down and make this really simple and really cool for you. So let's get started. All right, well, like I was saying, I am really excited to have my good friend Casimir Holeski here with us today. Say hi.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Well, you know what? Let's just dive right in. You are passionate about fruit trees, nut trees, and how long have you been at all this?
15 plus years.
Yeah. Okay. Real cool. And Casimir lives up here in the Northwest with us, and I want you to share for a minute kind of your passion within the niche of fruit trees and pruning, and you've got this thing about discovering heirloom apples and fruits in our county here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So a few years ago I founded the Boundary County Orchard Restoration Project precisely because this place that we live is I found it to be very special in terms of the history. There's old fruit trees here from all over the world that migrated up here 100 years ago, 130 years ago.
Wow.
For multiple reasons. There was a gold rush, there's a railroad, there's all these reasons. We had international traffic up here. So I get to go out and find genetics that are lost to the world in some cases, and really capture the genetics so that they're not lost. We've got a window right now. These old trees are dying out, and so I'm really working hard to find as many as I can
before they die out, or people cut them down that are buying out the old farms. Yeah, this is just a really exciting project. At the end, we're going to give you some ways to connect with Casimir here and see what he's doing, because he's just a wealth of information, got just a lot of neat stuff he can share with you. But for right now, we better dive in, and we're talking about how to prune your fruit tree. And so I think probably the best place to start is just why. Why do we need to prune our trees, and do we need to?
Yeah, sure. That's a great place to start. So, the main reasons that we prune to begin with is to, most primarily you talk about size. We're gonna, hold the size of the tree down to a level that
a manageable level,
whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
There's no absolute. It depends. A lot of people are gonna keep the tree where they can reach the fruit.
So some people, you want just easy harvesting. That might be one goal, right?
So access, that goes into access. So we want to control the size, and we want to make access available. We want to be able to get into the tree. We want to get into the tree to pick the fruit. We want to get into the tree to prune.
Right.
And we want to be able to get in there and spray our organic sprays if we do that and whatnot.
Okay.
So access is a big deal.
Right. Now what about production and managing, pruning, maintenance versus production?
Right. So another reason to prune is to renew the fruiting wood.
Okay.
And to create more fruiting spurs. So that's another reason to do it. Yep.
Okay. All right. And is pruning something that has to be done on all fruit trees?
That's kind of a tricky one. It's kind of, so say Sepp Holzer in Austria is a permaculture gentleman that he has chosen to not prune.
Okay.
So he began his career pruning. What he found was that if you prune a tree, that you have to keep pruning a tree. If you prune a tree and you don't prune a tree after that, it's just all wonky, it's messed up. It grows in ways that are not conducive to the health of the tree.
So let me just give an example. So when we see, like, I've got a tree over here on our homestead that's been here, I don't know, I'm guessing 80 years, 100 years by the history. And I'm guessing it must have really been pruned at one point because it's been let go, and it is an absolute mess. And so when you say you start pruning, you've got to keep up with it. It's going to get unmanageable and probably really hard to access, like you were talking about.
That's right.
If you stop. And so This is a good tip, I think, for people that are starting out. If they want low maintenance and production and the management that comes with it is not the main goal, learning how to raise a tree up with maybe just shaping it in the early years, I think, is what you do, and then being able to let it go. That's okay if people want to do that.
That's right. It depends on your goals.
Okay.
If production's not your goal, then you know, letting a tree attain its natural form is totally fine.
And you're still going to have a healthy tree and get a good harvest.
That's right.
So you're not just maximizing harvest.
What'll happen when you don't prune over time? The things to think about is that the branches underneath start to get shaded out by the new growth on top.
Okay.
And then you get a bunch of dead wood. So on these old trees that I'm finding all over the county, the 100-year-old trees,
right,
a lot of times it's just dead wood on up to, you know, up as high as you can reach, and then the fruiting wood is all up at the top.
Okay.
So it just kind of migrates that up to the top, all dead wood in the bottom. So if that's really why we're, you know, one of the main reasons to prune is to allow light and air to circulate.
Yep.
Light into the canopy, into the inside of the tree, and air as well.
All right.
So, you know.
Cool. So it's really up to your management style, but most of us are probably going to be doing some pruning to maintain productive trees. But I know, coming from a permaculture background, which both of us have, I like the idea of have some trees that I don't have to maintain. I'd rather have more trees if I can and do less maintenance and still get a good yield. But it comes down to how do you want to manage your specific orchard and your specific tree, right?
That's
I think
right.
that's what this boils down
That's
to.
right. I mean,
there's not a right or wrong. There's what are your goals? What are you after?
I tell people very frequently that if, you know, people that acquire a home with an old heirloom tree that's overgrown, for instance, you know, you don't have to bring that thing down and try to create a productive orchard tree unless that's something that you really want to do and the tree is healthy enough to do that. It's just fine to leave these old trees as, you know, just specimen trees, as, you know, a tree to look, you know, to beautifies the landscape,
right?
You know, feeds the wildlife,
and take the fruit you get.
In that case, that's right. In that case, that's minimal pruning. That's just taking out the dead wood, crossing branches, you know, and just letting the tree pretty much, you know, be.
Right.
So
great, very cool. Okay, well, I think next let's move on to when is the proper time, if there is one. You can straighten me out on this if you need to, but when is the proper time or times to prune?
Right. So we were talking earlier, the old timers. You know, you ask this question, and a common answer is when the knife is sharp, right? Or
all right.
Or when you have the time, right?
Yeah.
So
So you can prune a tree basically anytime.
At any time,
and
that's right.
I know this freaks some people out because I've gotten a lot of questions about, well, aren't you going to cause disease, and aren't you going to have specific problems from having, you know, the wound that occurs from cutting the tree at a certain time of year?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's with apple trees, you know, that's kind of a generality that we just talked about. There is a reason to prune it a couple of different times a year because of the tree's biological response, right?
Right.
So pruning right now is a you know, for most of us, dormant pruning when the tree is asleep, in late winter, early spring is when we're going to want to be doing this.
Right. So late winter, early spring.
That's right.
Before the tree starts budding.
Before the buds start to swell, ideally.
Before the buds start to swell.
The 0 degree temperatures.
Okay.
If you get that cold.
So you don't want frozen.
We ideally, you make your cut, and if you're going to get sub-zero temperatures after that, it's just possible for that wound to freeze back a little bit, freeze the wood back.
Okay, it's going to damage
some
of that branch.
It can invite you know, pests in through that wound, right?
All right, good.
So, but the apples are pretty tough. So in late winter, early spring, you know, the cold that we are normally getting is not going to hurt them. So this is a good time to do it. It's more comfortable for us to be out here doing it. And then again, just dormant season would be before the buds start to swell.
Okay, this is making me think of a couple things that we'll just touch real quick. So can you treat a pear tree similar to an apple as far as timing, or is that a little bit different?
Nope, so a pear tree is very similar.
Okay, now what about stone fruits?
Stone fruit's a whole different, that's a whole different.
Can you give us just a real quick, when's a good time for the stone fruits? Does that need to be done later?
A lot of times people are going to do that in the spring after it flowers.
After it flowers,
yeah.
maybe. Okay.
Yep. It's drier. When you're pruning stone fruit, when it's wet, there's a tendency for disease to be able to enter through that.
Okay.
wound.
All right, so give us a breakdown real quick on this. Say for the apple tree, since this is our case study, as you will.
Yeah.
We've got the winter, late spring pruning, and what happens with that versus, I've heard you talk about pruning in the summer.
Right.
Or another part of the year. Can you just give us that little breakdown there?
Yeah, so I mean, the general idea is in winter when the tree's dormant, you make a cut and it's going to stimulate vegetative growth in the spring.
Okay.
In the summertime, it's already used up energy to grow the new wood, so you cut the wood off and it kind of slows the tree down a little bit.
Okay.
So you've got an opposite response there.
Yeah. So
that you can use.
So if you guys are getting this, and Carolyn and I talk about this a lot of what we do, it depends on what your goals are. And it's the same in orcharding here in Trimming Fruit Tree as it is other areas on the homestead. You kind of got to know what your goal is and go from there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many ways to do it, actually,
Right.
and it really comes down to picking the best set of strategies for your own goals.
But in general, if you're not dealing with some chronic disease issue or environmental issue, what you're saying with when's a good time, well, when your knife is sharp, is kind of saying, hey, you know, there's some great optimal times to prune a tree, but don't stress out about it too much. You know, you can either let it go toward next year, or you can prune different times of the year and you're going to be okay.
That's right. And to give just a quick example of the practicality of that idea, actually, it's say for instance, we come in and we're going to prune this tree. You know, vegetative response happens this spring. It just starts where you make your cuts. It tends to stimulate new buds to pop.
Right.
So you know, we can come through after they start growing in the spring, and if you're just walking through the orchard, you're going to the garden, whatever, if you're going through there and you've got a sharp knife or secateurs, that's when you can come through. If there's a deadwood, if there's a branch that didn't wake up and grow, it's dead, clip it. If you see branches that you missed that are crossing, you can clip them.
Okay.
You know, so if there's water sprouts coming out, clip them off.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you can do a few here and there, and if you're doing that as you go, just a little snip here and there as you see it, you're going to prevent yourself from having to do larger cuts later too.
Right.
So it just allows you to have more time, spreads that time out. You can cut to have that initial response, you know, in the winter, and then you can kind of just maintain it through the season.
You know, that's really cool. That's freeing to me. That takes a little bit of the stress out of things.
Yeah.
And I think when we'll talk about it in a minute, not overcutting. That's the one place where you might really stress yourself out if you take too much out. But if you go at it easy, you can apply this. And you don't have to stress. You can learn as you go a little bit. It just takes us time. And I know for a lot of people it's really stressful. If I don't get it to here right now, I've either messed the tree up or I've lost it for the year or whatever. And we've got a little more freedom than that.
That's true. And you know, when we're starting out, we're all a little bit scared. I was terrified to make cuts, you know, and it's true. And it's as we learn, there's a lot more leeway than we think. Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right.
Just a little bit of technique here, a couple of important things to remember. When you are clipping with your secateurs or loppers or cutting with a saw, when you make your cut, we're going to cut at the branch collar. That's basically, you want a flush cut, and that's going to allow that tree to heal that wound. It's a little tougher to see sometimes when the wood gets a little bigger, and so we're going to cut this one out. So here, if you come and see, it's like, how do you tell where the branch collar is on that, where it's coming out? You're just going to make that a flush cut. You can see that kind of roughened bark there. That's the branch collar. And so we don't want to cut below that, because then the tree can't heal. So and we also don't want to leave a stub, because that's going to rot and allow disease organisms to enter as well. So we're going to cut that flush with the branch, and that's just the basic idea. Very important to remember that. So I guess we can cut this one to show. So nice flush cut. That'll heal over really nice and seal up well.
So before we get into actually how to prune, let's just cover a few tools, like essential tools that you would say that you need to have on hand if you're going to be, managing a small orchard.
Sure. I think the most important tool is just a pair of secateurs.
Okay.
And you know, after,
nippers, I call them nippers.
After that, we're going to have a pocket saw as a good idea.
Okay. Folding pocket saw.
Folding pocket saw.
And if you guys have ever seen these Opinels, just we're not affiliated with them, but I've carried an Opinel knife for 25 years, and these are just great tools, good quality, not super expensive. You can look them up.
Yeah, great tool. So another great saw is a Silky. This is just a saw for larger diameter branches.
Cool. Can you pull that out? And like, what size would you use that on?
2 inches and
2
bigger,
inches and
say.
up?
Yep. And you know, same with the loppers, an inch and over. I'm going to use these. I'm going to use the saw, this pocket saw, for a lot of the stuff that I could interchange with the loppers.
You can go either way.
You can go either way.
Is one better?
And one is a little better. I mean, I guess the one caveat to think about is with the loppers, when you make that cut, it crushes the bottom just a little bit. So it can tear the bark and crush that. So a saw is just going to make a cleaner cut.
Okay.
Sometimes, you know, it just depends on getting in there. You know, loppers will be a better choice, but
a little easier.
You can interchange them for size-wise.
But the saw is often going to make a cleaner cut that's a little better.
It makes a little cleaner cut.
Okay.
The loppers are going to go up to like 3/4 of an inch, and then you're going to go up to your secateurs 3/4 of an inch, and then the loppers, you know, an inch and above. Saw an inch and above. You get a few inches, you're going to go to a bigger saw.
Yeah, and I know for me over the years, I've been really tempted because it's just I've got those in my hand, and I end up, you know, maybe pushing how much they should do, and it tears the tree and leaves little strands. So you want to use the right tool, and not, you know, you just want to use the right tool.
Right tool for the job is always the best.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, and then another thing that I didn't bring, but I'll mention, a pole saw. If you got a larger tree and you don't want to get up on a ladder, you need a pole saw. You know, we've got a ladder today to get up here to the top of that tree. So,
and of course, of course, occasionally you might need a power saw, chainsaw, or something. I don't think we need that for what we're doing today. But occasionally you start getting over. I mean, you said those are going to go up to about an inch and a half.
Couple inches.
Inch and you know, if you're really rehabbing a tree, then you might need a larger saw.
That's right.
Though I don't know, one of these, if you needed to, you could get through.
I tell you, I've done
good size.
I've done massive old trees with
just
with hand saws. But what I like to do is take a chainsaw and rough it out. Yeah. And that'll save you a lot of time. And then you come in and start doing, you know, finding your work with the hand tools.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very, very cool. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah,
so
totally.
How do you prune a tree? What are we going to do here?
Yeah.
Let's talk about some tips. And,
okay.
And just how do we approach this guy? Maybe tell me what you see in this tree a bit. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys know, a lot of you watching us know we've been on this property for about 1.5 years. So we inherited these trees. I've pruned them one season, and this tree was very, very thick, and it still looks pretty thick to me, but I didn't want to overdo it. And I'm concerned about getting a decent production, but also lowering the maintenance over years. I'm always going to have to prune this tree because that's what somebody's done. So I want to find a good balance in managing this guy for good production, but not necessarily trying to optimize production if I can lower my maintenance. So that's the goal here. So what do you see, Kaz, and what are you thinking, and what do we need to do?
Yeah, I think, you know, you've got some nice scaffold branches, so that's
scaffold branches are the main ones
those
reaching out.
Somebody pruned this tree as it was growing. You've got the permanent scaffold, that's like the bones for us, or that holds everything up, right?
And did they do a good job? Does this have a nice structure, nice frame? Do you like what you see, or what would you do differently?
It's a lot better than a lot I see. So basically, I'll just touch on there's a couple of basic ways that people prune in general. Okay. There's an open vase shape, and then there's a central leader or modified central leader. Okay. So generally, you're going to end up in both of those shapes with 3 to 5 main scaffold branches. Okay. Okay. So this one, you've actually got 2 that are coming out of the trunk there. That's maybe not totally ideal, but here's the thing with these homestead trees that you inherit like this, or trees that you didn't start with. Right. It's basically, you know, you're going to have to take what you've got and work with what you've got.
And that's going to be the case for most of us here. I mean, we're going to plant trees. We're going to be planting trees here. We're going to shape them up for solid trunk and some different things. But most of us, if you're buying a place, you're inheriting some trees.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so thankfully it's not black and white and absolute. There's a lot of gray areas and different ways we can do things.
Cool.
Depending on our personal situation. So that's what we're going to look at with trees like this. It's not so much a matter of having the ideal framework. It already has a framework.
Working with it.
So what we're going to do is look at the frame, and then we're going to picture how light comes in,
Okay.
light and air. So what I'm seeing is that there's a few branches that we're allowed to grow that have grown to be a couple inches in diameter or bigger, that are underneath the main canopy, and they're just getting shaded out, and they're taking resources from the tree that
they're not going to produce.
They're not going to produce. They're
Okay.
just taking energy, and we want to put that energy up into the canopy where the light is on this tree.
Okay.
So there's a couple of, it looks like to me with this tree we can actually take just a couple of larger branches.
Okay.
Sometimes taking just a small amount of large branches will have the biggest effect, actually.
Wow. So is this third little trunk one of them you're referring to?
That is it. That's right.
Yeah.
Because that one comes out, and then you've got these nice, nicely shaped branches, scaffold branches, but that one is right. It's so close. It's just completely shaded out.
So it's sucking up nutrient and energy,
That's
and
right.
it's not being productive.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's the case with the next one over that has the cut there. On this side, same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And so there's a couple of things like that. Another one just underneath there. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to come in. First of all, I'm going to start with deadwood and crossing branches. I'm going to look for those.
Okay. Deadwood and crossing branches.
First of all,
So that's a good place to start.
branches that are coming into the center.
Okay.
Water sprouts. So this tree has, a little bit of all of that stuff. We're going to just thin out some of these shoots around the canopy to just let a little bit more light hit. And that's pretty much it. It's just a matter of just taking it one step at a time. And I think what I do is start with those larger branches, get them out of the way. We can get into the tree a little bit more.
Okay.
Sometimes that's how you want to start. You want to start cutting your way into the tree so that you can actually work a little more effectively.
So to summarize, before we dive in here, is just a general philosophy to approach your trees. You're trying to let in more air and light.
That's right.
So one, you're getting rid of anything dead. You're just getting that out of the way.
That's right.
Okay. You're getting rid of any of your understory, like we have a couple main ones here that just aren't getting light, and so they're not going to be productive, and they're using up energy. So you want to get rid of the branches that just aren't being useful. You want to get rid of any of your crossovers.
That's right.
And then you're going to just probably open it up a little bit for that air and that light to get through. Is
That's
that a good summary?
That's a good summary. And one of the main things that we think about bringing the tree down in some cases, this tree has been shaped. It's set at that, what, 8 feet or so at that tallest.
Right, yeah, we're not going to change that much.
Right, so we're going to take a bunch of those water sprouts and tops that are trying to make new tops.
Okay.
And that'll, all of those, that big leaf mass up there is totally blocking sun from coming down to hitting the scaffold branches. So your fruit is all going to move up, over time to the top. And
okay.
If we don't move those.
No, I like my fruit accessible, especially right in here in this
right.
area. I want the fruit as accessible as possible on the tree.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Well, let's get to it.
Yeah,
do
right
some
on.
work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we've done a lot of work on this tree.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah, so
transformation.
tell me a little bit, you know, or tell everybody here a little bit of what we did, because we took out some main frames, so we reshaped the main structure a little bit. And then thinned it out quite a bit. So just tell us a little bit about what we did and why, and you know what we expect from this tree.
Yeah, so we took out some of the kind of scaffold branches, the larger branches that had grown out underneath these larger branches. So they were just shaded out, taking resources from the tree. We took out about 3 or 4 of those, and then we brought down all those water sprouts on the top. The idea is basically to take them down so that we get a bunch of fruit off those, you know, this year.
Off the remainders.
And that's gonna, leaving all of those is gonna spread that energy out, so the tree doesn't send as much suckers up this year to deal with.
Okay, so
ones.
Actually leaving some of those tall ones, this is something I didn't know. If it was me, I would have come in and I would have just kept thinning out all the tall ones at the base.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to just cut them down. And what you're saying is yes, we thinned some of them out, but by leaving them, we're actually going to get some fruit off of those, and we're preventing it from as many new suckers coming up, which we don't want.
If we would have scalped it and brought them back down to the branch, then you would have, you know, 2 or 3 times as many next year, because 2, 3, 4 will come back from each cut a lot of times.
Okay.
So we're gonna we open that up, the whole tree to light, by bringing it down, and instead of having all that new growth, there'll be some new growth, but that's right, it's going to be calmed down a little bit, because all that energy is going to be going into the fruiting buds that are left all over it.
Okay, so we left the edges alone. We're probably still going to want to come along later, maybe next year, and thin out some of the overlapping in the edges, if I'm understanding you right, and trim it backwards, push it on the road. And then even on these verticals, as they start to grow out, they'll send some new branches out, and we can kind of pick and choose as we go along, depending on what's growing right direction, to develop that canopy. Is that kind of going to be the strategy?
You're going to customize the tree as you go to basically how it wants to grow and fruit, and you'll just influence it to its best form, you know, that suits you the best. So
very cool.
That's right. The follow-up work over the next couple of years is just going to be bringing down the water sprouts into just a fruiting bud, spur that's a little shorter than we left a lot of these, you know, so that we have fruit on the whole branch. And then a lot of the refining work, there's a few more structural things that we're going to take out later. We didn't want to take out too much wood today. And then that fine work on the outside edge of the tree, where you've got the structure of the tree, that main branch coming out, and then we've got that finger, the hand with the fingers spread at the end. So that basically we're just going to come through there this summer and next spring and take out the overlapping parts.
And so we left some of that, right, because we did a lot on the top.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to take out too much in the first year, so we left some of these out on the edges, because that canopy's open, a lot of it'll get sun.
Yeah.
We can see how it goes and watch, and I'll be able to tell this year, you know, what's still getting too shaded.
That's right.
Right. And trim that. But
and what's crossed, what's a little too tight, and you'll be able to come and just and thin that out so that there's holes between the fingers that you've got there again, and nothing underneath, not branches underneath. So yeah,
very cool.
Basically, that's going to be finished for this year, and then you're just going to keep finding it over the next couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is something you can really just approach. You don't have to approach it with fear. And just don't do too much. I think about 1/3 of the tree.
That's pretty safe.
You know, visually is pretty safe. I've done up to half and done okay, but I definitely seen the tree slow down.
Yeah.
You know, by doing about 50%. And I know it looks like there's a lot done here, but a lot of it's just because it was trimmed down. They weren't actually cut all the way back.
And it's not a lot of wood, ultimately.
Right, so it wasn't a lot of wood actually gone, even though the canopy of the tree is greatly reduced. So one more thing before we wrap up. We've given people a lot of freedom here and some steps to take, and hey, go cautious. Are there any just don't do's? Are there any just like big no's that you really want to be careful from when you approach pruning a tree? Just any big cautions that you want to leave anybody with?
Nothing just comes to mind right off the bat. I mean, that basic framework, if you're looking, you know, if you're just looking to take out the dead wood, crossing wood, wood that's shaded out, you know, making those choices, then you know, making sure you have a basic framework. You know, if you're doing those things, then it's pretty hard to go wrong. And you know, as you go, you know, you got next year. You can make your cuts, and then next year you can see what happens and refine it. And I mean, really the worst thing you can do is just cut the tree off. I mean, otherwise you're going to have a tree to work with, to watch, to experience, and that's really how we learn. Every one of us learns by doing it, then watching what happens, seeing, hey, it didn't kill the tree. I can come back and I can see what happened, and I can come back and next year and adjust it. So, you know, nature and time, in natural time, gives us time to correct mistakes. And the biggest mistake you can make is just not doing anything, really.
Don't do anything, and don't do too much. Try to keep it under 50%. If you're within those guidelines, and then like Kaz is saying, if you're observing, we just have to observe over time what's happening and react to that. You've got a lot of freedom to figure it out as you go along. And so it doesn't have to be stressful, because I think pruning fruit trees for a lot of people is stressful. And that's one of the big things I want you guys to come away with, is that you can do this and it's going to be all right.
That's totally true.
Just don't cut the tree down.
Yeah, and when you're starting, it's true. That's perfectly fine to do less is more. That's true. That'll help you, you know, with that worrying about doing.
And this is just a general permaculture premise, is to observe, take action, observe a little more, and take action, and we learn. And we go along with measure, we learn and we grow, and we get things the way we want them to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's going to be a whole lot of questions about this, and so what I'm wondering is there a place, how can people reach out to you that would like to know more about what you're doing? Just give us your website or your Facebook or whatever here, and whatever you want to let people know, and then we'll link to it too in the description.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, right now you can get a hold of me through Boundary County Orchard Restoration Project on Facebook. My nursery site on Facebook is I Am Tree Crops, and then my main page actually I use for business, so it's all fruit all the time, and that's a find to contact me through that as well.
What's that main page?
My main profile page, Casimir Holeski.
Okay, Casimir Holeski. Okay.
All three of those, you know, I'll get your messages through there.
Great, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for
helping
with the tree. I'm
it's
excited
a lot of
to see
fun.
where this is going. I learned a whole lot today. Hopefully you guys did. And thanks for hanging out with us, and I'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Bye.